Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Classic Quest podcast. Where
Welcome.
we finna talk about some people ahead of time and space. The Satan spelled backwards. The Natas. Do you believe in God? That album. That's what we're gonna talk about.
Yeah.
And my name is HSR.
I am your lady friend Bonnie.
And before we jump into it, we're going to do our little intro bit. If you want to skip that, check in the description of the video. You'll see when we actually start talking about
Can
the
you tell I'm
project.
skipping? Is this like a? Do you know that this is a skipping motion?
That's a skipping motion for those who didn't know. So just to let you know, we're going to go through the album track by track. We're going to talk about all of them, give our opinions, what stuck out to us, etc. You know, some might be real quick, some might be sidetracked with all sorts of stuff.
Sometimes you just hear a song and you're just like, all right, that was a song, and you don't really have much to say. And then sometimes you can go on and on and on.
That's true. We're like amateurs at this. Like, we're not. Like, we're just trying to enjoy the passion of all of this and like get into just building up a community of people who just love the music, and also like to actually go in depth with it. Like, I would love to hear your thoughts on the project and what you have to think about it. We really, really care about the comments in general. We read them all, answer everybody.
For the most part, at least like personally speaking, we don't know that much of the music that we are reviewing until like when we start reviewing it, like the week before or something.
Often I'll hear the album 4 or 5 times at most, sometimes a little bit more.
Yeah.
And we try. And
washing the dishes, you gotta listen to it while you're walking, you're commuting,
all that good stuff. But last week we did episode 80, and every 10 episodes we talk about a lady rapper. So we talked about the lady host of State of the Culture herself, Miss Remy Ma, with her album.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
There's something about Remy.
There sure is, ladies and gentlemen.
Based on a true story. It is a pretty long album title. On that, we had Inside Media Report comment. Remy always said she was the female Snoop Dogg. Now, I really like that comment because it shows that you watched the episode. Because at a certain point in the middle, we talk about how she smokes like an ounce a day, and that's like what Snoop Dogg does.
Yep.
And
she's badass as fuck. As Snoop Dogg used to be. I mean, now he's a grandpa, and he's cooking with fucking Martha Stewart. So, I mean, he's not really as badass as he, once was. But let's just be clear.
I don't know. He's got a swagger to it.
He's still fun, and like he's a cool guy. I mean,
okay. On the subject of Snoop Dogg, if we can tangent, he just like walked up to like the White House to the park across the street or whatever and like smoked a blunt and was like, "Don't vote. I'm not voting. I'm not wasting my time with that shit."
And then he did that like, I mean, I don't know, we're kind of like going on a little tangent about Snoop Dogg here, but then he also did that Netflix show where he was like coaching like a football team or something, and he had to like sober up.
But it's
for
more,
like
I just wanted
like
to
a
say,
year or something.
Like, because of this election, if I'm not mistaken, Michigan legalized marijuana, and a few other places did it like at least whatever.
Yeah, that's. I mean that's like a really like.
Do you guys like see the irony of like Snoop Dogg going to smoke a blunt, saying voting's a waste of time? When now I'm in Canada, so it's kind of like I'm super jealous of shit like U.S. midterms, because in Canada. You see a person on a poster.
And I saw like the list of like all the people you vote for. I was like, that's
crazy.
Crazy.
And like 77% of y'all that
got
actually
one
come
box
here
to
are American.
check.
So that's it. Like, you see a person on a flyer, and it's for like parties. You see like 2 or 3 pictures. There might be local debates, maybe not. You see a couple national debates. Our whole thing's like, 6 weeks? And then it's election time, and basically you vote for a party because once the person's elected, whoever you picked on that paper could be replaced by the party just all willy-nilly. I'm like, it's fucking weird. And then everybody votes by party lines, so it doesn't really matter who you vote for. You're basically voting for whatever prime minister person. And that's it. That's like all it is.
You're voting for your local person.
So like when they talked about stuff like marijuana laws and it got legalized here, it was like, sure, but we were completely at the whims of the government, whereas at least they ask your guys' opinion on shit. All I'm trying to say is there's some corruption up in that system, but I'm pretty jealous of the midterms.
But then if everybody like doesn't like sit there and educate themselves, which I'm sure a lot of people don't, which is totally fine. But
do you see the irony of Snoop Dogg kind of dismissing people voting in an election that kind of legalizes marijuana in that action? That's all I wanted to ask y'all opinion on that before we get into anything more serious. Before we do, quick thanks to the patrons, Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prado, Super Old School 1994, and Mr. Lindell Williams.
So thank you.
We're going to talk a bit about that now, actually, because it's relevant to our choice this week. Once a month, we do something from the request pool where basically patron decides what we review. It could be any album you want. It could be your brother's album. It could be like some obscure thing. It could be something, whatever you want, really. It's more like you want to see that happen.
Yeah.
You get to choose it, and then there's a queue. So
and for the most part, it seems like, not to brag a little bit, but our patrons are like pretty into hip hop music and like pretty interesting stuff that maybe not everybody has listened to. So I really appreciate some of like the stuff that you've definitely exposed me to.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
No, that's true. Thanks. Because like every time I look at it, I'm like, what's this album going to be? And then I'm like, holy shit. And it's each one of them has like a different style.
Like I look at an album cover and I'm just like, this isn't going to tell me anything about what this is going to sound like.
Yeah. So basically, anyway, month happens. One of them chooses it. Next month, next one chooses it, etc., etc. So it's cool. Like, and if you join that, you get to join that queue. And if enough of you join, we'll do 2 a month, and we'll just make it happen so that everybody kind of gets a fair distribution here.
We'll be swimming in that pool.
But this week it's Mr. Super Old School 1994 with his second patron request from us. His first was Esham's Kill the Fetus.
Yes, which I very much enjoyed.
Now we're following appropriately with Natas's album. You should say it. I'm being rude. I'm cutting you off of like the moment that go ahead.
Natas's album, Do You Believe in God? All in one word. This came out July 25th, and it is what year? How did I mess that up?
It's 95.
95. There we go.
I remember from the Spotify list. It's their third album because they had 2 before this that they reference a couple times on it. And I don't know that much more. I know that the group's composed of Esham. That's why it seemed appropriate to bring up that other Esham review.
Yeah.
Then there's TNT and Mastermind, who are also featured on that album.
Rest in peace, TNT.
Yes, I found that out about 20 minutes ago. So rest in peace, sir. They're from Detroit. Yeah. They're from the early days. And like they come
early days.
Late. I think they start. Esham at least starts like 89, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, like they're like legit. Like they started it, and like you can tell like and I think that it's kind of like difficult. And I think that they all kind of like morph together a little bit. But like there's definitely sounds, and you're like, wait, who started that sound? Like that was like so and so. Like that's kind of like so and so sound. Like it's very much like there's a lot of like kind of copying back and forth or shared styles.
But like as I understand it, these guys are like pioneers as far as horrorcore goes. Though they called themselves acid rap, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have a lot more to comment in terms of them. I saw Esham live a little bit ago when he came and opened for ICP. That was fun. I didn't know who he was really at the time. Now I would kind of wish I could see him now that I've heard some of his music. But I did want to point out that conceptually, I don't know if you have a lot more to comment on him. No,
not really.
If we want to just talk about that title, Do You Believe in God, and that album cover, what is it? Do you know who it makes me think of that's like not hip-hop at all? That's right around that same time coming into prominence. That's going through
Nirvana?
No, I don't know if Cobain's still around in 95.
True.
I was thinking of a Mr. Brian, Mr. Marilyn Manson. His name's Brian. So, yeah, I just thought it's fun to bring that up. But like, if you look at like this cover art here, and then you think a few years later of like Antichrist Superstars coming out, and you think about how like the religious groups were attacking like Natas and Esham and them, they're like freedom of being able to put out this music because of how awful it was, etc., etc. And there was that kid who gets in the album that actual news clipping, and that kid who kills himself to their music, and you have like the Columbine situation with Manson, and like I was like, man, is like Natas like the Marilyn Manson of hip hop? Like in terms of just like that, like shock rap, horrorcore. Like I don't know. This is me asking y'all who are like bigger fans, probably. But like
I think it is. I think that's kind of like what it was. I think it was like supposed to be so, like, or people thought it was like so shocking, and then without even listening to it, and just thought, oh well, somebody was doing something to like a sad song or whatever. Like, but you're not listening to like what the song's about, and you're not like, you have to understand like what led up to that point. Like that's what you should be concerned with, not the music that they were listening to. Like that's like such a such a stupid thing to focus on.
And then you just gotta imagine like this album title. I don't know if I'm right, but it sounds to me like people just kept asking them this question: Do you even believe in God? Do you believe in God? Like they just kept asking it like over and over and over again, and it like frustrated them and pissed them off enough to almost make this album as like a response. I might be wrong. I don't know. If I am, that's whatever. But like listening to the album and just thinking about that like title, and they reference it like several times throughout the album, and I'm like, yeah, it's a kind of stupid question to ask these guys. Like if that's really the focal point of like the album, it seems like they're missing the point of what they're trying to do, you know? Mm-hmm. And it was cool because like right away I got the point of what this album is trying to do, and it made me smile. Like it's right in line of the type of like good satire type shit I'm into. Like in general, this is fucking wicked conceptually. We'll get into that as we go throughout the album, but like, yeah, I can see how it pissed off a bunch of ignorant folk. Anyway, you want to talk about that first one?
Sure.
Let's talk about Do You Believe in God? Bonnie, how do you feel about this track?
Well, like right when I hear it at the very beginning, it sounds kind of grimy. And it's basically about like world is coming to an end, and do you believe in God? Like what's going to be your like afterlife? It has like a good beat and like the overall sound to it. I liked that. The voice reminded me of Ice-T. I think I can't remember who it was that did it, but there was one. I'm not sure. And then he talks about like that there's like a lot of negativity and suffering towards like Black communities at this time, and they're basically wondering in such difficult times like how people can still believe in God when you know everything is kind of like stacked against them, and like people don't like them, and there's a lot of like hatred, and it just kind of like ignites this like kind of like chain reaction in these communities, unfortunately. And yeah, so it's sort of like just like questioning, like, can you bear so much in life and still believe in God and still believe that you're going to end up in a good place, even though like you're forced kind of to like make like bad choices or whatever. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. It was okay. It had a good message, like I said, and I give this a 4 on 5.
So like, the first thing that came to my mind, because I instantly will make comparisons when I can, is this is a grimy, rugged version of like the song "Where's God" by Insane Clown Posse, which is really just like a polished version of this song, where it's kind of like "Where's God when shit goes down." I mean, that's like a more mundane, less poetic way of kind of expressing the sentiment.
Well, I bet you they had a conversation and they inspired each other.
I'm pretty sure ICP was heavily inspired by Isham and his boys. That's what I've come to understand. Remember, they kind of jacked that Suicide Lion skit from the other one, you know? And they're all from Detroit.
Yeah.
They're all from the same. Anyway, well, I don't know where ICP is exact. Never mind. I'm just not going to get lost in semantics there. But, and this isn't interesting. Like, Isham, like, wants to come in and instantly let you know that he never believed. Like, he answers the question right away. Like, everybody's asking him this question is still what I'm imagining. And he starts off the album. The very first thing he's going to say is, I've never, ever believed. I've been deceived like Adam and Eve. Interestingly, like, if you really look at what the book of Genesis is from one perspective, is a very allegorical, poetic book that's, kind of deceptive in nature. I don't want to go too much into it, but from a theological perspective, there's an argument for that. And it's a super interesting way to start it off, in my opinion. And Isham, I'm going to say, like, his flow is less flexy than, like, on the other project. He had, like, a point. It felt like this album had a point to prove more than it was trying to be, like, the fanciest rapping I've ever heard. It was, like, this felt really powerful and message-driven. Like, really, like, he wants you to know the disdain he has for, like, the idea of, like, organized religion or whatever. Like, he's just so against what this shit represents, is what you just feel through the way he raps this shit, In God you trust, but in God I bust caps to peel caps and fill bloody naps, bitch. You want to go to heaven? I got the 357 pointed at you, so you better pray. And that's such a cool twist. Like, you believe in God, I believe in my gun. You want to go to heaven? Well, I could just kill you. And then I'll help you get there a little bit quicker.
Yep.
It's like a good It's almost like listening to George Carlin talk shit about religious people. Regardless of whether you agree with it or not, it's in the same tone. It's really interesting to hear because it's a good criticism based off of what I'm assuming is people's judgment of him in the first place. So anyway, it goes on through. It flips into the chorus, which is like, do you believe? I don't know what this world is coming to. Because now you're getting an idea of environment getting added into it. So first we find out he doesn't believe with passion. But it's a little bit more than that. Now we're going to find out why. And, meanwhile, Isham's kind of going, do you believe in God? Who is God? Where is God? And he's asking, like, kind of faux philosophical. It's really kind of funny, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
well, it's like mocking, like, kind of like those who believe.
A little bit, yeah, but like he does it in a way that I actually found funny.
Yeah.
Normally, I don't find a lot of that stuff funny, but like TNT kind of goes a little bit more attacking shit. Like picked up the Bible and burnt my hands. Like he's obviously awful. It's corny, but okay.
Yeah.
187 at the church. Dead body needs an ambulance. I'm like, okay. Now we firing shots at like the church and God and the institution and shit. But then it just kind of flows into what I perceive as kind of some environmental stuff, like the unforgettable medication, the masturbation, premature ejaculation, premeditation, murder, meditation, deep, sleep so I creep, my crew rolls 6 feet deep. We dropped that album, and now everybody's judging us. Is kind of how I took that next little bit there. What he says after that with the sacrilegious bit. Sorry if I wasn't clear. Sometimes I'm not. And yeah, then it kind of ends on this question like, so yo, do you believe? And then it flows into the chorus. And already like the tone shifts further. Mastermind, I feel like he follows suit, but gets a little bit more clear just in case you didn't understand. When I walk to Urquhart this way, leaving you in dismay, there they lay to stay, you better pray. People dying outside my town. Homicide surrounds the block. I'm suicide. Where I live, both worlds collide. Like... this grim darkness, and then like their kind of placement in it being this suicidal, depressing kind of music mixed in, being like almost the opposite side of the coin. It was really cool. Like I thought this song conceptually was really interesting. I did give it a 4. As far as beats go, it's one of my least favorite on the album. I'm gonna say like I like a lot more of the beats more than this one. This one was okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
The rhymes. It was also not, like, the best rhymes on the album that I heard. And a lot of my album grades sometimes get relative to itself. But, like, it was cool. Like, it was like, this is cool. But at this point, possibly, just to be fair, I might have been going, I like the Isham album better in my head. Like, at that point, I'm sometimes a bit of a dick to track 1. And that's what it came out to. There's still 17 more.
Let's check out Natas.
What did you think I would do to you? Motherfucker, let my voodoo run through you if you're high.
So yeah, this one starts off with a legitimate fucking news reporting. Mm-hmm. Police say Tardy was drinking with a 19-year-old friend smoking marijuana. And it just sounds like that kind of a fucker. Like a little condescending dude there.
Mm-hmm.
And dude kills himself, and it's the third fatal case of teenage Russian roulette this year. So basically, like...
and killed himself listening to, like, their music.
Yeah, I think it was the album before this one.
Mm-hmm.
And then for their chorus, they do something super interesting. They take this sample from this song, Original Nutta, that was released by UK, Apache, and Shy FX. And then they kind of jack that original Mad Nuttas. And it's actually apparently saying Nuttas, but it also just sounds like Natas. So it just fucking like works really well. And instantly I'm feeling this beat more. I'm feeling the overall tone and production. And I feel like, okay, it's like picking up a little bit for me. Otherwise, yeah. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, I mean, so just, it starts off like you said, exactly. And I mean, obviously, I think like the reporter should be saying something differently. The beat is pretty cool, like the way that it sounds. It sounds kind of like, it sounds very like 90s. It kind of reminded me of maybe like Moby or something like that. I don't know. It reminded me of something like just like the background beat, if you know what I mean.
Like the drum beat?
Just like there was part of it. I couldn't tell you like what it is. So he talks about the police and the preachers are after them. So like they're both kind of like they're getting like hit, but from like kind of like two interesting sides. And like they're talking crap and they're saying all these terrible things about their music without ever having listened to it. So they're just being judged for nothing. And again, I mean, society should be concerned as to why this feeling is happening into all these kids or into all these people, because they feel the same way as these lyrics. Why is that? That's the question that people should be asking. And I liked one of the lyrics, and it's "Welcome to the unpleasant world of Natas, the Detroit-based rap band who invented their own genre, suicidalism." So it's interesting that that what they make is music to kill yourself to, because it's so sad and kind of like reality. I think they're just kind of like hitting on like the darker parts of reality, and a lot of the times, and if you're going to do it, like I guess you're gonna listen to this kind of music.
But I also feel like it's a little more like a South Park move, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like...
It's obviously like satire, because I don't think that they're...
I think it's just they're trying to point out how ludicrous it is that because this kid did this thing while listening to their music, even if in the music, like, they say shit like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill myself," or, "Oh, I'm crazy, the voices in my head," like, I mean, it's not like... that means that the person who did the action, like the people who make the music shouldn't necessarily be blamed for the actions of the individuals who do whatever. It's like this one guy or two persons in total did something stupid.
Are you blaming like Stephen King? Is he a bad guy because he writes about crazy things and killing and whatever?
It's just the idea, like, one or two people do something fucking stupid, and all of a sudden, the response is to vilify and crucify some shit just because, like, they created something that one or two people didn't take the right way and acted wrong. Even though thousands and thousands and thousands of other people totally got the fucking point. Or, like, just turn it off. Or whatever, like, they didn't like it.
Yep.
But, like, it's just so ridiculous. And the thing is this is not just them. It's like it just keeps happening. And it keeps happening today. It's not even like a new fucking thing. I mean, sorry. It's not like it went away and like we're looking back. Anyway, you guys got what I'm trying to fucking say there. Lyrically, it's cool, man. Like, right off the jump with Mastermind, I like I'm not, like, it's not necessarily like they're trying to be tricksters in flashy shit. They're, like, message-driven here. Like, do you believe in God is the question? What the hell's going on? I smell something wrong. They wishing for death on me. Hope this wickedness don't last long. 24/7, one more step away from heaven. And all of a sudden, it's like, you feel like, almost like they're running through this awful darkness of people coming at them from all sides, like you were describing, and just like coming at them. And then in the second verse, TNT kind of contextualizes it further with the police and preachers after me from state to state. Fuck the world. They find I fill it with nothing but hate. And it's like, I didn't really feel like that kind of tone on the last project. What I felt on the last project was like a well executed like horror movie. And in a sense, it's got this elements of that horror movie here, but this has also got that, like, this feels like this album is part of that war against censorship that was going on at the time, which is really fucking cool to listen to. Like, this side of it, like the horror rap side, all I can think of is almost like shit like Marilyn Manson, but it's really cool to me. Anyway, TNT's verse is solid too. Like, how many died from the rhymes of crucified? That's an interesting concept. Like, but then I started thinking about it further, right? Can you imagine hearing that somebody like killed themselves while like listening to that shit you wrote? Like, I would ask myself that question. I think it's a really like it must have been such a weird thing to live through. I would love to like talk to one of them about it one day. Isham flosses on the end a bit. I feel like from a quality perspective, Isham is a little bit more distinguishable. Like, when Isham's on the mic a little bit more than the other two. I don't know if it's just experience or whatever, or maybe I'm just biased to liking Isham more. But anyway, his verse is cool. Fuck Jim Holy. I don't give a fuck what you do. That's when I learned who Jim Holy was. He was the religious dude who was kind of big up in the Detroit at the time, kind of leading the crusade against the Natas crew. So it's just fascinating. Like, and I like the fact that he called him out by name, and he like kind of basically threatens to kill him, essentially, not in like a genuine way, but in that artistic way, like that, whatever. And God don't fuck around this way. I'm coming straight from the boondocks. I'm suicidal. I'm a homicidal with the Glocks clocked. And I like that. He's just fucking crazy sounding. That was right after the part where he called him out by name, in case you were wondering. Anyway, it kind of ends with that little thing Bonnie quoted earlier. And then it's basically a Satan in reversed. It is satanic. It is satanic. I don't care how you spell it. It's satanic. I just sound so ludicrous when you put it like that.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, it is Satan in reverse. I didn't even notice. I didn't notice it until I saw
Neither
that.
did I.
And then I was like, oh, shit. And then I realized that sounds like the dumbass logic, like something like my dad during some of his more religious phases would have used to justify why this was the pinnacle of all evil. No bullshit. He told me Ozzy Osbourne is like the evilest dudes ever. And as a result, as they lay dying, this Christian band was more evil because they had a skull and it was like scarier than Ozzy Osbourne. No bullshit. A real conversation that happened. So I could only imagine the type of shit they were going through dealing with the religious side of stuff. Anyway, I give this a 4.25. I thought it was stronger and more fun to listen to than the first one.
I gave this a 4. I don't think I gave my grade before.
You did not, but now you gave it a 4, and now we can talk about some Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Pop.
Sorry, I mean Natas.
To the fetch, I just body count them down to the 2-1, cause murder's fun. Don't
I don't know if like they listen to Bone Thugs or if it was completely organic or whatever. I'm not saying
Sometimes
anything
these things
about anything.
just happen.
What I'm saying is I heard Bone Thugs first, so there's no way I didn't hear this and go, this is so Bone Thugs.
Yep, I also wrote it down.
Pop, pop, pickety pop, pop, pop. And then you got like that really like popping sound on every single pop. But it sounds so grimy and gritty. I'm like really like right off the like you just picture them shooting at cops. Like right away. At least I did when I saw the piggity. Because pigs are cops.
Yeah.
Anyway, so right away you get the sense that this is still charged. This is some angry ass like fuck the system type shit. I'm like feeling this for real in terms of the energy on this. And then you have like Mastermind coming in right off the beginning, kind of contextualizing this more violent war zone type environment. Like, can you hear my battle cry? Can you look me in the eye? Did you feel the heat when I let these caps crackle in the sky? Woof. Just this imagery of like him fierce, like you just picture him like a warrior, like pop, 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 pop. I'm like the gunshots are going. I don't know. I know this isn't how you hold a gun. This is my white boy moves. Okay,
Well,
relax.
that's not a gun. Those are your fingers.
My white boy moves. And then don't get caught in the blood shower. Don't die as no coward. The night is mine. Like you just feel like fearless, ready to go. He's got shit to do. And then like rolls on through. Now I gives less than a fuck. It's time to raise the hell up. Gun blast, piggity pop, 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 crash to deck. It's the season of the headhunter. Chop, chop, head check. And I'm like, man, this sounds like some Insane Clown Posse shit. Again, I'm saying Insane Clown Posse kind of jacked their style a little bit more, or at least was influenced by. Let's be more politically correct. Anyway, it rolls on through. TNT's verse is truly remarkable. I'm not going to go through it line by line, but basically, he doesn't care if you're a cop, and then he basically goes out of his way to go after this cop who murdered his brother to the point of going into the dude's like hospital room and blasting him and shit. And it's like, I love that shit. Listen, like the more I've learned about the history of like black folk in the States and the level of actual bullshit that's going on. Like I just learned about the 1967 Newark, I don't know how to say it in real life, riots and shit. It's like, what the fuck actually went on once upon a time? Anyway, I kind of get the rage. It makes a lot more sense to me now. And then Isham comes on through and again kind of makes himself sound like he's going to fucking be like, he's like the toughest motherfucker ever. Is how I feel most of the time. Isham is next to the other two. Like Isham's like a lot tougher sounding. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And then it's like he's gonna come at you and he's gonna take you out. But I just had to like focus in to this part here. So tell your mama sayonara, wada da ding, wada da da dang hey. Listen to my Glock go pop pop, and I like that. Is that like from something? Like I don't. Like I don't know if it was like he's trying to fill out the rhyme or something, like just to make the line like come in. It sounds good. Don't get me wrong. It sounds nice. But, like, at the same time, it kind of sounded like some filler because I have no context for what the fuck that was. Mm-hmm. So sometimes this is, like, references to some, like, 80s cartoon shit that I've never heard of or seen or whatever. So if y'all know what the fuck that is and can help me out in the comments, that would be super amazing.
Yeah.
Because Googling what does wa-da-dang mean is not going to get me any answers. I'm going to just tell you that. I don't know. I like this one. This one, like, it gave me a good feeling. I do think the mixing is not my favorite. Again, I'm doing my best to put on my 1995 goggles, right?
Yeah,
So,
it is hard. It definitely is hard to do that sometimes.
so I gave it a 4.3. It's my favorite one so far.
So I mean, yeah, like like you mentioned, it is about like police kind of like shooting at them and like their communities. For me, it sounded a little bit 80s, so I kind of like that sound. I mean, I don't have any problems with it. And so it's like basically talking about their anger towards the police for having killed their friends and family because and they want to get revenge on the police, if they didn't get put in jail. But, if they were to kill someone, they get put in jail. So like they're seeing like that discrimination. And, and they're personally, they're being attacked. They're just being assumed that that they're the bad guys no matter what. They're being, oh, it's just a guy. They're not even like double checking a lot of the time. Like there was a lot of like issues that were going on with the police. And obviously you're very true. Sorry about that. And so, yeah, I mean, you could definitely imagine if you had even like any sort of anger in you and then the police killed your best friend or your brother or your mother or, or your son or whatever. And, you're going to be pissed off and you're going to have that hatred and who you're going to have that hatred towards the police. Okay. That's enough of a rant. I feel like that was like a, whatever.
That was the closest thing you'll ever get to have, like, Bonnie outright going, fuck the police.
Yeah. I mean, it just makes sense to me. So I'm not, I mean, this song wasn't, like, again, my favorite one on here. It had some good qualities on it. It definitely reminded me of Bone Thugs and Harmony for sure. And I feel like, from like this song, like I think that their friends would have felt the same way if they had died, and she would be on the other foot. I think that everybody in this community in this sort of like shitty situation feels the same way. So it is another good message. Obviously people aren't listening to these messages that are in the songs before criticizing them.
I'm not gonna lie. Satire is not something people get. Just like the people who think that the Pulitzer Prize winning writers Matt Stone and Trey Parker make a stupid show. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so people, if they aren't listening to it, because if they did, they would understand. They would get it that like what they're saying isn't bad. It isn't like kill yourself and whatever. They're just angry.
That's right.
I gave it a 4 on 5.
So let's talk about what happens in the midnight hour.
They start capping. I'm bleeding like a motherfucker, grabbing my chest. My heartbeat racing.
So if I'm not mistaken, this one is more story time from Mr. Isham.
Oh, yes.
Just Isham. He wakes up in the middle of the night. Something's off.
What's going on?
He's thinking about his girl, why she had to die. So he's thinking back. Apparently she set him up. And then they all shot at the car and shit. And she died, not him.
Yep.
So it wasn't even like he killed her. It was more like they killed her and it went bad. That's what I understood. And then
I thought it was about revenge.
Well, yeah, he gets the revenge after, but I think it's kind of like revenge against this whole squad because, and anything. But I got the idea that she set me up. They pulled out their pistols. So I got the feeling like she was involved in some nefarious deeds too. Like because of her actions, she ended up having to die because when
That's what you get, snitch bitch.
And then she caught a slug in the back of her neck. Oh, he emptied out the tech and they all hit the deck. I mean, again, it's really, like, fun. I can't call it the greatest rhyming ever, but I'm still really into the story, and I'm really into that beat. And then the way it segues into that in the midnight hour, and you're just like, yeah, that kind of sounds like an appropriate time for this type of tomfoolery.
Well, it's when, like, these things happen is late at night.
So he's bleeding and he calls up his buddy and he needs to get to like a hospital or whatever. Calls up his buddy who like just got out of prison who also was on the run from the cops or whatever, and he jumped bail and I don't fully know. Maybe I mixed up the story just a little bit, but you get the sense that now there's 2 dudes on the run, and then they head on over to East LA and they They saw a dude that they jacked once upon a time, and then that guy in the third verse starts tripping out and waving his gun and shit, and then he accidentally, I think, shoots
the other guy in the face.
Yeah, like his friend that he came down with, who was on the run from the cops. That same dude who finally escaped and shit gets blasted by this next guy, so he gets real mad and blasts at him a whole bunch.
Yeah.
I'm like, the thing I really like about this song is that you can really like picture the story playing out in your mind. And the ambiance of the beat really, like, sets it up to something that's, like, what you could almost picture being the soundtrack of the scene playing out. I thought it was just really fun. So I gave it a 4.5.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, like, this is basically what it is. It's basically kind of like a karma comes back to you. But, like, you know, when people keep dying, obviously, like he's kind of talking about. And it is kind of like the realities of, like, living, like, this kind of life. Like, you know, if everyone's just kind of, like, hanging out and has guns and isn't like paying attention, is trying to like, you know, be impressive and then accidentally shoot someone, you know, like that's like,
well, I think
not that he was trying to be like impressive, right?
He was trying to like pull out his gun and be like, hey, you're the guy that robbed me back in the day. Oh shit.
Yeah.
It was careless gun usage.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what it is, right? And it is kind of like these little small choices and like the consequences of them, you know, kind of are bigger than anything. And so it sounds like he's genuinely sad and upset on this one. And he kind of talks about like everybody going to hell for their actions. But it's kind of like, aren't you already in hell, like in this like terrible situation and like whatever else is going on and like all this violence and everything. And I like the sound of this one. It definitely was, it was cool. So I really appreciate this sort of like interesting, creepy kind of storytelling that's on this song with Isham, and you know, and how it's still reality. You know, is very true to life. So I give this a 4.25.
All right. Well, is all right.
All right if you hide at night. So get your panties out your ass, bitch.
Bonnie, why don't you tell us again who sounds like Ice-T?
It's TNT.
Why don't you tell us about this song?
So this is a TNT only ditty, and
Beautiful ditty.
And so there's like on some I can't remember which one it was, but on like Spotify and like Genius, it said like Is All Right, and then I had to do research and check and see what the album actually said, and It's All Right, just for, you know, clarifications. So here we have TNT, and he's kind of saying like it's okay if you're high tonight. He's kind of bragging about how ladies like him, how he, you know, gets to bang all these lovely ladies, basically. He's saying, like, why are you mad at all these girls for going out with another guy?
Love that part.
And, yeah, he's basically saying, like, it's not worth killing the guy over the penis that she chose. Like, it's just not worth it. Like, just get over it. You know, and is it worth killing for that vagina? Like, is that worth, you know, having that guilt and going to jail for the rest of your life for a body part?
But it's also like more than that a little bit. It's more like
the fantasy.
More like she chose him. Get over yourself. A little bit too. Like, how dare you? You know, the audacity of you thinking
she doesn't
you
belong
have
to
any
you.
Ownership over this person. That's right. I'm saying TNT's a fucking feminist in this song about busting down throats and shit.
What a nice guy.
No, but like on the real though, like I never really considered it before TNT brought it up at the end of the song here. But I'm like, yeah, it is such a strange concept that people feel they have the right. Because Joe Budden was also talking about this on the Joe Budden podcast that aired yesterday, and just about his desire to go beat down this guy who was banging his ex. And I'm like, yo. And then like Mal, right, as he does, was putting Joe in his place. Like, yo, you have no right to do that shit, even if you feel like you do. And it's the same. It's
like
premise.
You're just upset, but like when you think about it, like it's not worth it. Just move on, find another one.
It's pretty lame, actually. All things considered, I would find you dorky if you thought that was cool. Go ahead, and that's me, and I'm not really cool at all. Go ahead.
True. So yeah, I mean, I like this one. Don't kill because of, you know, another girl goes and bangs another guy. I mean, that's pretty much it. I give this a 4.25. It's short and sweet. It's only 2 minutes 47 seconds. It's all right.
That's funny. My favorite part of this song is definitely the awesome beat transition at the start of the third verse as he's going, I want to tell me what's up with the flow when I'm busted nuts in bitch's mouth. I don't even know. And I can empathize with that because when you are performing said action, sometimes you just don't even know what's going on. It's a great thing to do. I like how fun it is. It just kind of reminded me a bit of like the Jackie song, but without the fun Jackie hook from the other album.
But I like this hook. I don't think I mentioned that, but it does have a catchy hook.
I'm not as sold on the hook. And you know what it really is? It's not the TNT part. It's actually Isham popping up with this, so get your panties out your ass, bitch, you too tight. It's like, okay. That didn't vibe or flow at all on the same vibe as like what was happening. It's cool. It's whatever. Otherwise, I really like how TNT rhymed this. The whole way through, it's not like anything overly substantial. It's a lot of just like bitch boy, you know you can't fuck with the flow. I got the fat dick trick with your bitch, you know, and I'm gonna do this and I know in this town, I know you brandy type just want to be down, and you know like it's kind of just fun, like and it flows nice and it sounds really good. And I don't know if I'm supposed to be thinking too deep about like this, you know, give me the pussy and the mic, I got nuts to shoot. I get it. You got bust out of both, you know, the mic in your mouth and your penis. I get it. It's really like fun. But it's not necessarily that worth diving too deep into.
Yeah.
I did like I'll be straight like Jake with the pussy to go. I don't know why. That was a fun line. Anyway, altogether, I give this song a 4.25. It's all right. I'm with you on that. Like I could vibe to this. I just don't really care that much about what he's saying.
Can I R.I.P?
I guess I just did on this podcast.
I live, but I can't live life right. Still thinking about the night I lost my nigga in a...
When this song started playing, did you have a good idea about who was going to be the rapper? Or did you just get surprised and let a mystery take over?
What do you mean who was going to be the rapper?
I knew this was going to be a Mastermind exclusive.
No, I did not know.
Because the other two I just had exclusives, and it would have been
so
weird if all of a sudden Mastermind got pushed and he didn't get his own track. Even though it's shorter than the other two. Anyway.
1 minute, 49 seconds.
And I asked him, like, heavy questions. Like, the world's kind of awful, so I've been kind of forced to do some awful things inside of the world, is the premise of this. And then he kind of questions, in light of all that, when I die, what's going to happen? I mean, you just got to imagine, like, or maybe some of you don't have to actually imagine, but, like, you're in an environment where you're forced into doing some despicable things, let's say from a morality perspective. And stuff that in a conventional religious sense means you're instantly destined to hell. And honestly, with like an absoluteness to it, like if you kill, you must die. Even though the Bible preaches context. To be fair, the Bible preaches context. There's literally a verse that says everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. So with that in mind, the misinterpretation of the religious text to use to like shame and condemn people is a prevalent thing I've witnessed within the Christian community. And so I feel like this is maybe addressing that, like in light of what he said and done and the world that he's in. It's almost like, does he have a place in heaven? Does he even have a chance? Like, is there even a point? Because it's so fucking bleak. I don't know. I thought it was really cool. And then I kind of like the idea of how he ends it with, why can't I be just a memory? Hope my death ain't no mystery. Who the fuck took my misery? If I can't keep this bullshit deceased when I'm alive, can I rest in peace when I die? And it's almost like he wants it to be like nothingness because of how fucking bad it's been. And if like it's been this shitty all the way through like your life and then all you're stuck with is hell, like that just sounds like a really fucking awful series of circumstances to be facing, you know? Like, yep. I get it. Be that as it may, I didn't dig the beat, and I didn't really like the way the hook flowed. Can I rest in peace till I die? I didn't like it as much. Sorry. 4 on 5. Otherwise, the concept's really deep.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it is. So it's all these evils going on around him, and he's kind of like involved in everything. So like he doesn't rest in peace when he's living, like you said, kind of. And so he's kind of hoping that he'll be able to rest in peace when he's, you know, dead, and he won't have to worry about like all these like won't have to think about all the time, like these bad things that are going to happen, all this violence and whatever. And then we have kind of like interlooped or whatever the word is.
Oh, the Ice Cube.
Yeah, we have the Ice Cube. It was a good day. And like maybe like he's kind of like hoping for a good day too, but like he's just kind of like not getting it, or kind of also like he's never.
But it's also the specific line it shows, like, will I live to see or another 24, right?
Yeah. And I think that that's like another like, common reality, unfortunately, in like a hood type situation. And like, and it's so just to like appreciate like those like simple things. But I think that he's saying that he doesn't maybe he doesn't get like a good day like that. So when you think about it, this one is actually, pretty sad, like when you think about it, it's another song that's like that. And you probably wouldn't, like if you were just judging the album again, you wouldn't understand that, the hell that they're already living in and how difficult things already are. And that's it. So I give this a 4.25. I like this one. It was okay.
Cool. Why don't we talk about some torture?
Okay.
Writing wicked, finger fucked up pussy, a Jada Pickett. I burn up the obituary.
I'm gonna say it right now. When Dice comes in with the fantasies is unreal or whatever, he comes in on that verse or whatever, it's my favorite part. It is just so fucking cool. His voice, this Dice guy, what a cool voice. Mm-hmm. Him and Isham sounding next to each other, like that is some really fucking good chemistry in my opinion. Yeah, this beat just comes in and it's grimy, and it's grimy in a good way, and you just want to listen to it, and you just have Isham like, torture, welcome to the torture chambers, cut dicks off, ain't no pussies around here. Mm-mm. And you're like, okay. Reminds me of that like Raekwon Wu-Tang skit, like that torture porn shit they're into. All right. But then I'm getting crucified in the public eye. And you're like, oh, but no, it still ties back into the central theme of this album, the world versus Natas. And died, come and meet the killer inside on a murder ride. And you almost get the sense that it's like some part of him inside, like an innocence, was like destroyed by this onslaught of people.
He's just trying to be an artist.
And then like all of a sudden it's like he's snapped into this killer and he wants to pop piggity pop until they all fall. And then he name drops. My style gets ugly like that motherfucker Biggie Smalls. I'm like, okay.
Rude.
I walk barefoot on a butcher knife, and fuck Tupac, he ain't representing no thug life. I was like, oh, damn. Mm-hmm.
Shots fired, indeed.
That got censored. I don't know when it got censored. I don't know if it got censored at the time, but it was blanked out, and thank goodness Genius Annotations are there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he went at them, and then Dice comes in, and he's a little more like...
blunt?
Yeah, but like you can tell that maybe Dice isn't feeling the same level of fuck the worldness that like Isham is in this moment. Maybe I'm wrong, but at least it doesn't necessarily feel quite so them against me. It's more I'm a serial killer who wants to fuck Jada Pinkett and Halle Berry, which I didn't realize were both around in the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew they were, but like I didn't realize people wanted to fuck them in the 90s.
Like I mean, she's probably been my like woman crush since I was like a wee teenager.
Which one?
Halle Berry.
I never understood it. Like
she's
say
hot.
what you will, never understood it. Not one time.
I mean, if I had to,
never.
I mean.
However, Lucy Liu, on the other hand, teenage Holden.
Interesting.
Now, my favorite line, maybe on the whole album, though, in terms of harshness, has to be when Dice goes, because I'm that rape the bitch that Tupac went to jail for. I literally, like, I don't often go, like, that whole, like, oh, like, my reaction was pretty like that. It was like, I had to pause it, and I send it to Bonnie, and I'm like, this is the hardest line. Like, that was my
and
reception.
It definitely is.
In terms of, like, shockness, and then Isham comes back, and I kind of like the end of it. He's like, I got one bullet left in the Glock, and I'm screaming, free Tupac. I don't really understand what the point or relevance of that, if he's friends with Tupac or if he's not friends with Tupac.
There's several references of Tupac on this album. Like, I think it's like 5 times or something that like Tupac is mentioned. And so yeah, I mean, I don't really know what their relationship was. It sounds kind of like they have beef, but kind of like they're friends.
Well, I took it like,
or, I mean, not friends, but like
based on the tone of how he gets mentioned in other places on the album, it kind of sounds off like they feel like Tupac's fake and they're actually living the real shit. That's what I took, is they are the real thug life. It is my understanding, but I don't fully know the relationship. So if y'all want to add some clarifications in the comments, you are the best.
It doesn't matter. Guys, just stand together and make a better place.
Either way, I give this is a 5. The passion, the beat, the everything about this, the energy delivered. I don't know, 5 on 5. Super great.
Cool. So, I mean, yeah, I don't really have much else to say. I mean, you kind of said, like, a lot of it. It is kind of like a weird song, and it is sort of like, are they confessing to some, like, crazy things that they've done? Like, it was kind of like, it kind of sounded like that. Like, they were saying, like, these are all the things that we've done, blah, 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 blah. And it sounded kind of like a confession, so, like, just be careful. And they do, like, extreme versions of things. I like the beat. But like the song itself wasn't my favorite, and yeah, I don't know. And some of the things were just like, they were shock value. They were like, with that whole line about raping the girl that Tupac went to jail for. So yeah, I mean, there's some hardcore stuff here, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's called torture. What do you think it's going to be about? So it's a 4 on 5 for me.
Well, we almost lost Detroit.
About me, but bring it to my face, and I'ma put your ass in your place, bitch.
Alright, I just wanted to say before Bonnie talks that this lyric really struck out to me, and like one of those ones that I'm probably never gonna ever forget. So go ahead with that bullshit if you must diss me. I represent the city, but it ain't representing me. And I thought about, like, every rapper ever, like, every person ever who was part of a group, and that group may have been perceived a certain way, and then them fighting against it. And I'm like, damn, that's a pretty brevity-driven way to describe that sentiment, and I loved it. How do you feel about this song?
I mean, so, okay. So he's kind of talking about that he doesn't believe in God. Believes in reality. Like you said, he's kind of talking about representing Detroit a little bit, but like not, the city's not representing them. And then there's like some movie clips featured in it. And overall, I found it to be kind of like a meh song, like kind of like a bit of a filler. And for me personally, I mean, unless you're from like Detroit, you're gonna love this song. But for me, it's a skipper. I give this a 3.5 on 5.
What?
Yeah.
I got like so lost in thinking on this one because you get the sense that their city's turned on them. They've put out this music. They're trying to represent Detroit and do good things in a sense for Detroit by bringing overall goodness to it. And simultaneously, the city's showing their ignorance to what they do. Like, I really like when TNT's like, just scared of the wicked shit. They ain't feeling it, never understood because it's the real shit. Some suckers hate me because I'm realer than most. But these chatty in my city keep playing me close. And, so you get the sense that, like, they're just trying to speak truth about what's going on and, like, be honest and shit. But the way they put it or whatever, because it's so blunt, because it's so real, people don't like that. People like fake bullshit. People like the circus and cake that gets thrown to them from the empire so that they sit complacently. That's what people like. That's how I perceive people who are, like, would rather just be happy than accept the realities of what's going on these days. Anyway, and I just feel like they flow on through with that kind of overall sentiment. I kind of like, I don't know. I don't have anything. I didn't feel like most of the lyrics or stuff like struck out to me in any super significant way where I can like really go off on it. It's more like almost everything I can say is surmised by the idea that they feel frustrated by the fake shit that's going on and have manifested in like a cool concept where it's like we almost lost Detroit. Like you just hear the title and you picture it like I pictured it like sinking into an ocean or something. I don't care if that logistically makes sense. I just pictured it sinking into an ocean. But then like you look at the chorus and it's like, well, we almost lost Detroit. How do you get to Detroit? Hey, wait a minute, man. You ain't got to come on with that with ya. You dig? We was just rapping. You know what I mean, man? And it's almost like a little bit of a defense. Like you can almost like picture them being up on the crowd, up on the stage, and they just lost the crowd. They just lost the city. And then I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And like they didn't quite yet, but they feel like they're in this position where this battle, I guess, is going on. Like I don't know how like serious it was, but the way they put it out, it makes me feel like everywhere they were going, like media was attacking them. Like it's almost a good thing it didn't have all the Facebooks and stuff back then, because it would have been even worse.
Yeah.
Anyway. It is a 4.25. I enjoy the more grandiose feel of this one. Like the way it almost feels like it's trying to really make a statement with the chorus and everything. It's a little bit different than what we've seen. And I kind of like that experimentation. I enjoyed this. To me, it's as good as like the main part, like the main level of this album. Anyway, the next track is Heaven.
Yeah.
Why must I feel like this? Walking with a closed fist, feeling like I.
So I feel like at this point, the album is structured that they're going to drive home, that they're like serious and like death is around them, that like they don't believe in God and shit. And then like every song's going to have its own little niche now moving forward, right? Because there's a lot of similarities in the overall rapping styles. Every now and again, one of them tries to get like a little tricky. And I haven't really pinpointed it, and I'm sorry, I didn't even write down one time when it really happened. But a couple of times it feels like they try to speed up the flow, and I think sometimes it's more Isham than the others. And it just never feels like it connects right on this album. Anytime that they tried to go tricky with it. And when they keep it smooth, I like it. But I know Isham can be like super tricky because of the last album. Anyway, this one is clearly like an idea that fuck heaven. There's nothing. When you die, you die. That's like the main point of this track.
Yeah.
I love
it's almost kind of like what they're hoping for, because if there's like a hell, then how can it be worse than what they're living in, kind of, you know?
Yeah. I like how it starts with the Mr. Hell's Razor, not the pinhead, not the skinhead, which is crazy because, I mean, I never think of Hellraiser, really. To me, he's kind of faded out of all culture or whatever, but I know what a Hellraiser is because when I've had my hair spiky, people have told me I look like Pinhead. So I'm like, what's a pinhead? I've never even seen it. Little, you ain't never been dead, so you don't know the dirt one can do and get away with. I'd love to start to fuck with you, kill them off, and don't say shit. I'm like, man, that's an interesting point. Like, just in this place with all the dark shit you can just do and bury on your conscience and stuff, like it is. Like, there's no heaven. Heaven is not, like, there for people who have had to do dark things in that sense. Even though, weirdly enough, you would just need to pray and ask God for forgiveness of your sins, and in theory, then you'd get to go to heaven no matter what you did. Just throwing it out there. But I love the hook. I love the chorus. I don't know why I like it, but the fuck heaven, fuck heaven, fuck heaven. It just feels so good. Like, you just picture everyone at the show like, fuck heaven, fuck heaven. Everybody's just, like, screaming it out, like a really good vibe. I don't know. It sounds like a good time. Felicity, this one's just Isham, right? Or is it just Mastermind? I'm sorry. It might be other ones.
I'm not sure.
See, Genius, if it didn't tell me who it was a little bit hard for me to figure out who it was sometimes. So I'm just going to assume because it doesn't say anyone else's name, it's just him. But I really enjoyed this one. I like shit like fuck the police, fuck the chief. When I think about putting you under 6 feet, I grit my teeth. Don't get caught between a rock and a hard place. I'm doing more dirt than Scarface. Death is all I taste. And it's almost like this vivid fantasy of like living out, like, or lyrically putting out all this anger and this frustration and everything, just laying out like who their targets are. And to me, it seems like a super healthy way to cope with shit. Like, I know it sounds kind of crazy. When I hear all this, I'm like, this sounds like a lot better than, I don't know, drinking and beating your wife. I'm just throwing it out there.
I feel like your wife would agree.
But all things considered, I really enjoyed this one. I give it another 4.25. I feel like it's a great vibe for this project. And again, it really makes you question, like, the religion that is spit by the church. Now, I have my own understanding of this stuff. That's not the branded message that you get. But when you compare against the branded message spit from pompous religious leaders, this whole album makes total sense. Like, it's almost like
he
necessary.
does actually own, like, 10 Bibles of different types. So,
Me?
yeah.
I do have a bunch. Anyway, I'm just saying, like, I understand where this is coming from, and I think this is a very relevant and interesting record, like, even today and now. And I like that timelessness that it has going on from, like, a conceptual level, even if this sounds a little bit dated.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, yeah, so, like, this one, it definitely sounded a bit more upbeat than others. And it sounded interesting. I kind of liked how it, like the vibe of it. The fuck heaven thing was fun, I guess. And I guess, it's quite clear that he's not feeling very religious, and he's kind of like seeing like it's not so clear cut for him, like what's good and what's evil. And I think that, he's just kind of like, I'm just trying to survive. Like, I don't have time to think about what's good versus what's evil. Like, I need to do what's right for me, what's going to keep me alive, what's going to, prolong my life, I guess. So, and he's just kind of, it's just kind of that. Like, not everybody can be good. The choice isn't always there for everybody, I guess, is kind of what he's saying. So I give this a 4 on 5. It was interesting.
You know what, Bonnie? I don't care.
Wow.
Sometimes I feel depressed. What can a nigga do? Ain't no way out. Only.
I love Isham's flow on this. The way it just comes in, it's just so different. One day, I'ma learn. Ho ass ain't worth my while. Funny style acting, dirty macking, player hating, contemplating, fucking my thoughts up. And it's like, okay, basically a really convoluted way of saying everybody's a fucking hater and I can't stand that shit. And they're fucking with my thoughts. But I'm like, that's cool. But like, it was just like a breath of fresh air as far as flows and approaches to a song came in, right? Because this is the second half of the album now. And everything else has been very cadency, the same. The lines have all been delivered kind of the same. It's not like they've been trying to like make these songs stand out from like a flow perspective. This one was just really different. I thought that was cool. And it's just kind of, I took this one as I don't care because of, and then all of the verses are justifying the various things they see around them again that lead them to this point of apathy, this feeling like I don't give a fuck. Like, what's the fucking point in caring if everyone else around me is fake, if everyone else around me is awful, you know?
Yep.
But it's even stuff like, sometimes I feel depressed. What can I do? Ain't no way out. Only way out is the route of a slug point blank at my mug. Sometimes I just want to scream at the world. I'm mad. Other times I feel happy just to be sad. And it's like, when I hear that, I'm like, yo, if we just look at Lil Peep, like the conversation, and as like Joe Budden had brought out, maybe we should, when you hear rhymes like this, recognize this as maybe there's a reason that this person needs help. Like, how can you even hear lyrics like that and be like, do you believe in God? Like, is that the appropriate question to ask the motherfucker? Like, are you serious? I don't know. To me, it's just whack that, like, I guess, I mean, I kind of understand that maybe people didn't get the point, but to me, I can't understand how people didn't get the point. And then, yeah, I feel like the other ones kind of follow on through with it. I don't know if there's anything else that was, like, super noteworthy for me. Mastermind is the second verse, and then Isham comes on the outro. And I like how he's like, how can I care about something when I don't give a fuck about nothing? You don't care about me, you don't love me, and I don't love you, so fuck you. Well, yeah, that is something noteworthy. So, yeah, and again, it kind of exemplifies the point. Like, he just drills it home. But it's an interesting point. Like, I'm reading a book now about the ghetto, and from, like, a systematic perspective, how little caring was given to poor people. And, like, the main observation is that a lot of the equal opportunity and affirmative action things were really helpful for middle class and educated people.
Started right there, right then.
But it didn't necessarily do a lot for poor people and people who weren't well off. And that's what the book's saying, paraphrasing what I've learned in the book. And as a result, when I think about that in these lines, it's like, well, if systematically the world denied opportunities to you, then fundamentally no one gives a fuck about you. I can understand that kind of anger, and that's really cool. I don't know, I like this song. What did I give it? I don't know, did you describe your feelings on it yet?
No.
You do that.
Do you want to give your grade?
I was looking for it. I hit the wrong button on my phone. I give it a 4.5. Sorry about that.
All right. So this one, it obviously makes it clear why so many people feel bad and end up acting in negative ways because they feel depressed and they feel angry and nothing seems to get better. And it's just like this terrible place that you're stuck in for your entire life sometimes. And, it just kind of explaining that life isn't fair, and like he gets it, and he's kind of relating to like the listener, right? And like he's kind of saying like, of course our youth doesn't feel like anybody cares about them because that's how everybody treats them. So if they're not going to care about anybody because they don't have time to, and everybody's treating them like crap, like all like kind of like the youth that he's in his community, in his like area or whatever, the people that he's encountering, and like that's kind of like who he's writing this kind of song to, I think, a little bit as well. And he doesn't care about God because again, as you know, he's pointing out kind of throughout this album, how can you, when you're just busy dealing with like surviving and like just trying to get through life, and like all these terrible things keep happening around you and nobody listens, and you know, you're basically screaming out for help and nobody's going to help you, the government's not going to help you, blah blah blah. You know, and that's kind of what it is, and it's honest and it's hard. So yeah, I mean, I gave this a 4.25.
That's cool. And speaking of Scream,
We weren't speaking of it.
Off my dick, I'm never friendly. To go to church, fuck Jesus, cause it just ain't admitting.
I really like that chorus. I don't know why I do like that. Rah, rah, rah. It's cool. It's what I picture dinosaurs sound like. They just rah. I don't know. That wasn't really anything. Still, this song is cool. I feel like it's just Isham taking this emotional shit on us by like blasting out just like passion and whatnot. Thematically, I don't know that it actually brings anything new to the table.
Nope.
Isham's unhappy. The world around him is bad. Literally, I think what you were describing in terms of the screams in the last track that we were just talking about is kind of like what he starts off here. No one hears my screams. I told you my deepest fears, but I'm still having bad dreams. It seems like I'm still trapped inside a paradox, whether you care or not. Oof. It's literally what she said on the last track. It's like there's nothing else to interpret. It's yeah, nobody's listening and shit's like that. But like just the idea that they took these albums and took the time to like share all of their worst nightmares with you, all of the things they're feeling, and in return, you're asking dumbass questions like, do you believe in God, and leading religious campaigns against them. I can understand where the fuck they're coming from. The beat's ridiculous. I think it's one of my favorite beats on this.
Wow.
The style it's really powerful. I like lines like, lick my style like a dick, eh? But I'm like a nut up, cut up, what up? Cut their dick off and sew their butt up because there's some pussies, bitch, get off my Bozak. I don't know what the fuck a Bozak is. But like, I just like that savagery and the way that in like a more poetic sense, he kind of ties up every possible sexual organ involved in sex kind of into that line and links it all together. That's actually pretty creative and cool. That is a 4.75. I don't want to dwell on it that long, even though I really recommend this one. As somebody said, I'm not good at putting out standouts. This is a standout song to me. It's really cool, but like conversation, I don't got shit more to say.
Maybe I should listen to it again. This wasn't my favorite at all. I mean, I just found it hard to like concentrate on like the words and everything, which is, you know, I get like what it is and I get like the message behind it and I think it's good, but it's just a song of screaming basically, and like it's just sort of like a crazy song. And I mean, it is what it is. It's called Scream, so I mean, it does what it does, but for me, it does not. And I gave it a 3.5. I appreciate the message behind it, but it's just not enjoyable for me to listen to.
That's fair. Let's move on to a song called Fuck the World.
Oh, okay.
To anguish, I hate you, I hate me too. I can't go back to the womb.
Boom, 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 boom. I like that bass line. I like this beat. This is another good beat. And honestly, TNT held this shit down proper. And I watched Insane Clown Posse perform a song called Fuck the World. So it's not Fuck the World, it's Fuck the World. But and they're different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really enjoying finding these parallels between Insane Clown Posse and these guys.
Yeah.
I like the chorus. I mean, fuck the world. It's like, fuck the world. I said, fuck the world. Fuck the world. I actually really enjoy saying fuck the world. So I'm okay with shouting that out. There's almost no time that I'd be at like a concert and somebody shouted that out as a chorus and I'd be like, are we doing it? Fuck the world. Like middle finger up, all of it. Like I'm ready to go. My middle finger is always ready to go for that purpose. And then thematically, fuck the planet on. I wish I was never born, but I was torn to be born, so now I mourn. My thoughts are paralyzed. We're in the same vein as what we've come to see in this.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of like new in terms of the concept, but like lyrically, it's still really good. Like, must I reach for my 9 once I'm speaking my mind? They trip, angel dust, make me bust shots, 3 little pig, blind mice. Why I hate cops, headache, migraine, bring the pain on. What's my maggot brain on? Just this idea of like people on angel dust trying to be in a situation. It's like the cops is like your enemy, like in a literal almost war zone environment, and you start blasting at them and shit. I mean, you have a fucked world mentality. That makes total sense. I don't know. I like the energy on this song. I like the part where he's like, "Fuck the world, I'm in it. Never represented anything. But real life products. That's why many sing the blues. Bad news, bad times, bad rhymes, bad lines, bad thoughts, bad shit on my mad mind." Now, what's cool about that is he doesn't rap nothing but his label, but he kind of describes in essence what the blues was as music and parallels what they're doing with their music to being nothing different than what the blues is. And he's fucking right, as I understand the blues. Thematically, it's supposed to be pouring your heart and soul of the darkest shit out. That's why it's called the blues. It's sad. And it's not that different. It's just more explicit. Mm-hmm. It's a 4.5. Really fucking cool song.
Cool. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to say about this one. It is just chanting fuck the world. And, you know, again, there is a lot of, like, sentiments that we've heard throughout the album. I also noted that as well. Society sucks, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. Yeah, I gave this a 4 on 5.
All right, cool. Why don't we move on then? Because in case y'all might forget, y'all will realize
I could die and come back to haunt your ass with every blink of the eye, just in case you forgot.
If I understand this track, it's, in case y'all forget, each member is the best and here's why. It's basically their ego track as far as, like, ego tracks go on this album, no? Unless I'm wrong?
I think they're all just, like, kind of, like, showing, like, or telling us about, like, how, you know, they're badasses and they're criminals and whatever else, right?
Their ego track.
Yeah.
All things considered. I mean, for the sake of this album, like, I don't know. Bring that ass to me and I'm a blast for me all through your city, because their last album was, like, Blash for me or whatever. With the N-I-N-E, Millie, just in case you want to kill me till we mess up once again, I'm going to show you what you're less worth. I might hurt your whole crew and leave a lot of bloody turf. And many a times I write these rhymes starting to think I could die and come back and haunt your ass, you know. It's basically like the battle rap version of what they do, in a sense. That's how I interpreted this one. It's okay. It's short. It's whatever. The beat's not really my favorite one. I don't know. I felt like this track's okay, but it also kind of felt a little, like, out of place. Like, I'm riding this vibe of, like, super empathy and all this other stuff. And then it's like, y'all better recognize we the best. And I'm like, I know they didn't really say it. But that's kind of, like, at the core of what this song is. So I give it a 4. I don't want to dwell on it too long. Sorry. It's like, late over here. And we were going to piss off the neighbors. Like, so, yeah, that's where I'm at with this one.
Yeah. So the same sort of thing. They're, you know, they're hardcore. Like, they're criminals. They're not scared to shoot you. I like the beat. It had, you know, it was good for me, but I don't think that there was anything really too much to this song. So I gave it a 4 on 5.
Okay. The next one.
The Night Is Mine.
Is it yours or is it Gus's?
The corner, I'm not to be warning you about this murder formula. I read the show, you get my
full confession. The lyrics were nowhere online for this song. I couldn't find them, unless you could find them. But I couldn't find the lyrics to this song. Like,
oh, yeah, I think
anywhere.
I just, like, listened well.
So I listened, and as far as quoting it, this is the line that, like, I heard it, I had to pause it, I had to bring it back. I'm going to start street sweeping for the fuck of it to see how many motherfuckers I can hit. And I'm like, I don't know why. That, like, stuck out. That was, like, in the same vein as, like, that psycho shit that you would see in a horror movie and all that. I don't really know what the song is about specifically. I got the sense that, like, in the night, they rain, it's dark, terrible stuff happens, they're good at it. And I'm not trying to, like, oversimplify it. It's just without looking at the lyrics and just listening to it. And sometimes it's hard to get into the specifics with the time frame.
Well, I think basically this song is just about they're going to murder you tonight, and tonight is the night. It's 2 minutes and 6 seconds, and there's really not much else to it, to this one. What did you give it?
I give it a 4.
Yeah.
And, I mean, yeah, like, it's not that the song's bad. The beat's kind of, like, slower. It's a little eerier. I just feel like there was nothing that hooked me into it. But, like, if it came on, it's a good song. Like, there's no time that, like, this would come on and be like, this is shit, turn it off. Nah, this came on at a party, I'm down. I'd listen. I'd put on this album at a party.
Yeah,
I'm like it's
okay.
Cruising my car to this, walk up the street to this. It's got a good background music vibe to me.
Yeah, it does have a good beat, but, I mean, there's really not much else to it. I give it a 3.75.
That's fair. The next one is called Sunday School.
bus. Fuck, who can I trust? What's the fucking purpose if I took a little right?
That introduction, I mean, the first couple of times it was like whatever. I really got annoying, and outside, and then the song starts and it gets good. But the introduction is good context setter because it really dramatically points out how, as like a kid and shit, you're like forced to go to church and act a whole certain way, but like surrounded by a bunch of hypocrites who smoke and do all sorts of bad shit. So like, what's the fucking point in going to church? And that's the point of the song, you know?
Yep.
See, I can't step in a cathedral. I might bleed you. I don't need you to tell me who made me. I don't believe you. So interesting. I find it so corny that people act like they're so evil to burst into fire if they go into a church. I've heard it a million times. It's not funny to me. But the next idea, I don't need you to tell me who made me. I don't believe you. That's a really cool idea. Like, the idea that somebody at church can just be like, well, God made you and blah, 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 and just give you whatever, like, fucking sermon they want. And, like, you're just expected to accept it at face value and listen to what these people have to say just because they're the church person. Like, I kind of get the argument. I have seen the destructive powers of church people in my life, so I'm fully understanding of this kind of, like, perspective in it. Anyway. My thoughts bust. Fuck, who can I trust? What's the fucking purpose? If I'd take a little ride on that church bus, I'd cuss out the rev. That's fine. But, like, just the idea, like, if you can't trust the people at church, you can't trust these leaders in your community, who can you trust? Like, it's a powerful sentiment, you know? Like, church is, in a lot of places, a really hypocritical place with awful power structures, draining money out of communities, etc. I don't know. It's a really, like, I don't know, it got me really thinking right away, like, what the direction it's going with it. And then, like, my Bible collects dust, never been read, so what is evil? What is not evil? I see you people hate me because I pissed up in your steeple, but oh no. And it's just, like, the arbitrary lines of evil and shit. And it's like, you hate me because I pissed on what you believe in. That's it? That's, like, the end of it? That's how shallow your fucking argument is? That's how I kind of took that, anyway. Isham comes through and does his thing, and I feel like he's just a little bit more, like, militant with it. It's a little more like, so I'm sick in the head, so I tried to kill a priest, but now I'm killing time. I'm in the belly of the beast. Don't study the Bible, bloody rifle. The disciples in Natas. Same kind of shit. Mm-hmm. And TNT's like, I don't like church, fuck church, whatever. Bible burns my hand, same kind of shit. I mean, I'm not trying to be dismissive. Sorry, I'm a little tired. But, like, end of the day, this song's a 4.1. I actually really like the song. And without the intro, it'd be more of like a 4.25. But that intro, every single time it came on, I liked it less and less. But the concept's good. It fits the album. I get what they're doing.
Yeah. So, you know, like, at the beginning, I mean, I didn't hate it. You know, I definitely got the same sort of, like, feeling, you know, and he's kind of like a teenager or like an adult, and he's living at home, and it's like, you know, the old lady or his grandmother or something is basically like beating him, waking him up to go to church. But, like, that's obviously not a Christian move either. And I think that he's just kind of like, you know, having issues with, like, the church and with, like, the Bible, and it just doesn't relate to him and his society and his time. Like, he doesn't know how to, like, how it connects to him. It just is, you know, bullshit, essentially. And then, you know, just kind of talking about that Christians are hypocrites, and that they don't follow that their, you know, real beliefs or whatever. And maybe that's why he doesn't want to go to church, because nobody really believes, and it's just a bunch of nonsense, you know, to him. And he feels judged in this place. It's supposed to be like a safe and welcoming place when everybody's kind of like judging him for what he's done. And then it's kind of, I think he obviously feels like conflicted there as well. So I like this one. It was good. I give this a 4.25.
All right, let's talk about why Bonnie is mad at the world.
What?
The only nigga up against the world. Can't live at your average need, bitch, I'm mastermind.
And how do you feel about this song?
So that's when he's mentioning Tupac a whole bunch, and I think, yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Or no, maybe not a whole bunch. Maybe just once on this one. Let's just start this over again. So this one mentions Tupac again. Just wanted to point that out. Again, I'm not really sure what their connection was. So this is basically I guess this quick synopsis of the song is an angry song and about not being scared of dying and just kind of like embracing that. And, because they're just mad at the world. And I think, they're just kind of hoping that life will just be better when they're not in it and when they don't have to deal with all this crap anymore. So, I mean, it's another one. It was an okay song for me. I gave it a 4 on 5.
I'm pretty sure in this case it's because Tupac had Me Against the World.
Yeah.
And the line is Tupacalypse ain't the only up against the world.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to make that
Play on
parallel that, again, like, Tupac's not the only person with a struggle.
Yeah.
I guess they feel in some way that other people's shine was invalidating their cause. Like, I don't know. I'm just kind of asking that.
Maybe they were competing for ratings.
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like you just kind of get a sense of why they're angry. I mean, Mastermind got betrayed by somebody, I shot the baby party that I went to. Am I mad at the world or just you? My ex-homie, fuck it, I can't trust you. Now what the fuck to do? Bitches saying fuck my crew, but it seems I'm the only player they want to stick a buck through, I get this sense that it's like, you feel betrayed. You feel like you're out there trying to do all this shit and, getting crossed over by the people you care about and whatnot. And, yeah, TNT's like mad. They're all mad. A little bit more gun stuff and, escape from the cops. He's screaming out, fuck the world. Like, it's just anger. It's just this passionate blast of the things that kind of pissed them off. Honestly, subjects, again, it's stuff we've already covered a lot. Not a lot of new things to add from a review perspective lyrically. It's shorter. It's kind of like we're at this part where I feel like maybe the album could have ended by now. I don't know if this is the norm. I'm just saying in terms of number of songs, or maybe cut off a couple of these shorter songs and make a couple of the other shorter songs longer or something. But
I think that, I think overall it's only 58 minutes or something. So, I mean, all those little songs kind of make it more bearable, I find.
I don't know. I feel like
But it does drag on a bit.
It ends up, had there been a couple of less songs, even 15 songs, I don't know if I'd be feeling that dragging on this just at this point, just because the centralness of the themes don't change that much.
Yeah.
So it's 18 songs kind of focusing on, which is actually really impressive that they pulled that off, but that they did that minus that one ego song. And I don't know. That's just my feelings on that.
You mad at the world?
No, I think it's an okay song still. I gave it a... fuck, my phone's being an asshole. Give me 1 second, world. I gave it a 4.2 on 5 because it is better than, in my opinion, Sunday School. But it doesn't necessarily have the same level of energy and deep introspection that some of the other ones earlier on the album had.
Well, let's check out Propalactic Tacticz.
Oh, yeah.
Bitch, you gotta go. Yo, I need a bitch on my dick. Fuck with a friend.
He needs a bitch on his dick. Going in. I mean, we got the sex song. I was just complaining about a change of pace.
And I was just like, this song's about sex.
And again, the lyrics didn't seem to exist anywhere on the internet, but I did write down a little ditty from this for you because I wanted to give you an idea of what kind of shit we were listening to. It ain't no dick rubbing up against your clitted. I'm wondering if I can hit it where you slitted or fuck you where you shitted. I really like that line because it just kind of floated. You're just did he really just say that shit? Yeah, he did.
Yep.
And ain't nothing wrong with going in the back door. It's an admirable conquest.
Yeah, I feel like most guys try.
This is a certain more violent, aggressive approach to the sexual conquest they're having. This isn't no soft shit. This is more like choke her with your dick type fucking. A little bit more aggressive. You're not doing this to your wife. You're doing this to the hoe that you just picked up. That's the kind of feeling you're getting off of this. Overall, I really enjoyed it. It was nice to get that change of pace. It kind of felt a little bit sillier. Oh yeah, Natas likes to nut too.
Yeah.
And I gave it a 4.25. Great energy on it and all. But I kind of think it was a little bit weird. It just came out of nowhere.
I mean, they're guys, and
but
that's kind of how guys' thoughts happen. They just kind of come out of nowhere, and so the next thought was, "I'm horny," and then here they wrote a song.
That is surprisingly a logical way to approach that.
Yep. So this is about banging ladies, and hit it and quit it. Like, this is not love. This is definitely not. And they're all gonna get together, and they're all gonna have sex with the same lady.
Running a train.
They definitely want some freaky hoes. And it's just about fucking and sucking, and that is it. And that's all that they want. And so, I mean, it's catchy. I'll give it that much. But it's a 4 on 5 for me.
It's okay. It's better than that. Why don't we
No fault insurance.
Yeah, there's no fault. It's not my fault, okay?
It's nobody's fault but mine. I know that I'm late.
So, like, it has a little clip where it's like somebody does something and they're, like, blaming some shit, but it's not their fault, right? And then Isham kind of runs with that idea, and I know that I'm crazy, but it's nobody's fault but mine. I know that it's lazy, it's nobody's fault but mine. I know you don't love me, it's nobody's fault but mine. I thought it was interesting. He just takes that, like, idea, oh, well, whatever, it's nobody's fault, blah, 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 and just kind of runs with it in this idea, but actually does this, like, super mature thing and saying it's actually all my fault. And it does kind of internalize it with a bit of, like, a depressing thing, like, so it's because of my actions, because of my choices, nobody loves me because of this. So it is kind of like fitting really into this album in a more macro sense, because he dropped all the other projects, nobody loves him. But it's still, like, if you think about it, at least he can take ownership for, like, his actions, unlike these other people who can't even, like, admit for, like, the various shit that they've done, And I thought that was pretty, like, a really interesting, like, twist on it. And then he goes into doing what he's been doing for pretty much the whole album. You want a little bit more shocking. But I'm still a pill-popping, hip-hopping with a death wish suicidalist. But I'm still so selfish. Used to have this hope that I love to go. But the bitch played out like a disco, Cisco drinking, dead body stinking, nervous twitch. I blinked and stabbed her 26 times. Like, he's still being Isham, being a little bit more graphic, a little bit more shocking. Just to,
a little bit of an exaggerator, I'll say.
Yeah, and it kind of, like, touches in, he's a cop killer, he does this in the next verse. So, like, we're kind of cycling through, like, the central themes of the album, getting a little recap at the end of whatever. And, cops open fire on him and kill him. And that's kind of, like, the end of it, because he had the gun and he, like, was inside the house, and then the cops show up, and then they all basically blast through, if I'm not mistaken. There's a bit of a story going on. And I'm like, this is pretty cool. This is a really good way to end the album, actually. So I ended up giving it a 4.5. I actually like Isham's hook a lot. I know that I'm crazy, but it's nobody's fault. I'm like, it's a good hook. Like, it's a really hooky hook. And I don't know, it's fun. I enjoyed it.
Good. So I don't know, maybe, I don't know who interpreted the song wrong, or if, interpretation is just up to me or whoever. So, I mean, he's kind of talking about that he's crazy, and, like, he knows it, and, like, it's his fault for all the shit that he's done and the situations that he's in. And it's Isham, and so he's talking about that he killed a girl, and he obviously loved her at one point, I think. And then he kills a cop, and cops kill him, and he knows that he'll meet the girl in hell. And, he kind of wants her back, and he's kind of saying, well, she's dead and I'm dead, and it's all my fault because, of all this stuff that happened. So, I mean, life is crazy, and, like, it just makes you feel, like, insane ways, and especially when you're, like, you're feeling, like, so much pressure from, like, your environment and from, like, whatever else is going on. So, I mean, it's an interesting story. I like that. Isham's good with his stories. I appreciate that. I got this one a 4.25. It's a good closing song.
All right, cool. So we can wrap this up. I get the album a 4.31 on 5. I think it is a really well-rounded concept album approaching, I guess, the religious folks' attack on what they do and who they are. And given what I understand about, like, stories like Marilyn Manson and stuff, I can only imagine that if there are actually reverends leading campaigns against you, how frustrating that situation can be. So the album basically focuses on pointing out why they don't believe in God, bringing up their hostile environment, kind of really pointing out the hypocrisy of the pretentious religious folk in regards to, like, how they respond to them and whatnot.
Like, this, if you don't listen to this album and just want to give like all these guys a hug, there's something wrong with you.
Like it really like for me, like there's a high level of empathy. Like it's like a giant cry out. Like, how could you guys misinterpret everything we've done? Like, we're just trying to be real with you, and you're like shitting in our faces. And I really like that. I really appreciate the honesty and the real purpose behind this album. But the most impressive thing, as I think I said it before, is how well conceptually this album is aged, so that so many of these themes are still relevant in 2018. Even
I don't know if that's like necessarily a planned thing, but it's just still unfortunately a relevant thing. Yes.
and yeah, I don't know. I would recommend this album to anybody that's into good satire.
Yeah. I gave this a 3.79 on 5, so a 75.8%. So not quite a classic on my books, but still a good album. It's not a bad album at all. There just isn't like hits on it, but if you wanted to sit there and kind of like listen to kind of something that sounds a little bit grimier and like, they're called suicidalist music, right? Like it's, it is what it is, and it is obviously like addressing like that kind of situation that happened. It became like I guess a news story, and then kind of dealing with that, and then kind of giving society back what they want, because, like I said a couple of times already, you need to look at why people are wanting to listen to this album. Why is this album doing well? Why is it, why do they have so many fans? It's because people are feeling the same way, and they can relate to the message, and they can understand like the story, and, maybe not like to that extreme always, and sometimes even more extreme. So yeah, I mean, that's it. It's just another good story.
Yeah, so thank y'all for watching. Don't hesitate to let us know in the comments what you thought, any feedback, what you thought about the Natas album, Do You Believe in God?
Did you want to go listen to it after?
You can even let us know if you believe in God.
Yeah,
so special thanks to the patrons, Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prado, Super Old School 1994, who requested this album, and Lindell Williams. So yeah, they support us. They want to see us grow, help us get to the next level. If you want to join that squad, you can too. And on Patreon, you can force our hand to, make us review what you want, like what Super Old School 1994 did with this very album. You get access to content early and a couple other things. I mean, when I say early, it's probably a couple hours. It's basically I upload it and when I can get it there. Sometimes it's very last minute. But yeah, and if you don't want to do that, understood. I'm not really the biggest patron giver either. But you can hit that subscribe button. I'm very liberal with my subscribes. You can hit that like button. You can leave a comment. Those are all good things too. If you don't like it, hit that dislike and let me know. Tell me why I'm an asshole. I'm okay with that.
What do you think of his clean-shaven face?
I wasn't even going to bring it up. I don't know why I had to mention it. I was just going to don't even mention it. Let's just see what happens when you ruin that. Anyway, we'll be back next week with something.
Follow us on Twitter.
Something a little more Mob Deepy. And have yourself a great week.